Yo, YouTube, what is up? Welcome to the Rated R for Wrestling Studios.
What up, Mox?
As AEW finished up a late night AEW because of the NBA, and it was pretty much on par with NXT's episode, a halfway decent episode, just setting up everything that they want to set up for that post New Year's shows. There seem to be two big shows competing head to head on Wednesday, the first Wednesday of 2021. So big time stuff there. But that's pretty much all they're playing up to in this entire show. As was NXT's the same story. So it's not a ton of interesting things to get into. A couple things here and there, but for the most part, it's all set up for that New Year's special. So we're gonna get into it. We only got one takeaway from the show, but before we do, we get into it, I want to remind you guys to drop a like on this video and the NXT video and all other videos you guys been watching. If you're watching, not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Notification bells, you guys alert when new videos drop. Follow me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, all the same social platforms. Please follow me on all those. Then description section below, you got the links: Honor Club, Fight TV, Amazon.com, highspots.com. Shop through there. Use those links. Kicks back towards the channel. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. One takeaway from AEW Dynamite. AEW Dynamite started off with an interesting matchup. It was Inner Circle versus Top Flight. Inner Circle was Chris Jericho and MJF along with Jake Hager. The match was it was okay. I mean, it was all right. Yeah, it wasn't anything that special, but Jericho and MJF hit the win here. But a huge rub for Top Flight to get this matchup against two of the biggest stars in AEW. So that was cool for them. But the most interesting thing about this was after the match, you have Jake Hager in the ring talking about the Inner Circle and saying that he's got a matchup with Wardlow. So I guess that'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah, there's definitely something beefy in between they've been beefing since Wardlow and MJF came in. They're always looking at each other during promos and stuff. So it's been festing. It's been fermenting for a little bit. So it's definitely interesting to see. It should be a good match. Two huge guys. Should be fun. Godzilla King Kong type stuff. But we'll see what happens with the whole Inner Circle. There's definitely something going on. MJF has something up his sleeve, so it's excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, interested to see how Sammy Guevara takes all this, because he seems to be the one that's the most upset with MJF still in the Inner Circle. They had a weird segment afterwards where MJF walks up on Santana and Ortiz and talks to Santana about a recent loss in the family and gives him his own experience of somebody that he lost, and they start to tear up, and it's like a nice little moment, but it's kind of odd that they would place it here.
Yeah, very weird. But again, it must be laying down the groundwork for something, in the future. MJF's got something up his sleeve. There's you can't trust the guy. He's just, he's always up to something. So
I don't think AEW will play on this storyline. Maybe it's just a little thing they wanted to do on TV, but because it's more of a Vince thing to do. Think of Vince will get criticized for doing.
I mean, it's a wrestling thing. It's been done for years and years. It's not like Vince thing. It's wrestling.
So that's the way the show started. Later on, we would have Kenny Omega and Don Callis show up, cut their promo, just basically complaining about the matchup set up by Pac against Phoenix at the New Year's Bash episode. So we'll see that going forward, but not the best promo. Not the most interesting promo, because not really much going on there. They seem to be saving everything good for Impact Wrestling. Everything good is happening on Impact rather than on AEW.
They need it, so whatever.
Which Tony Khan on Wednesday morning, Tuesday night, dropped a video along with Tony Schiavone talking about the Holiday Bash episode and inviting any Impact superstars, but none of them showed up. So I guess they're probably saving it for the New Year's Bash episode. That's basically the biggest show of the year.
The Good Brothers.
So nice thing on the show was Tony Schiavone in the ring, and he's going to interview Sting. He interviews Sting. Sting comes out. He's asking questions about what's going on with Sting. What is he doing? He says he's not ready he's not yet gonna face Cody Rhodes, and then he's pointing at Darby Allin in the crowd. You see Darby Allin standing up there. They get interrupted by Taz, and Taz said he's tired of the nostalgia of Schiavone with the "It's Sting" call and all that stuff.
What a hater!
Yeah, Ricky Starks threatens to hurt him if he keeps sticking their nose in their business all the time. Here comes Darby Allin down into the ring to stand next to Sting, and it would be set up that Darby Allin will defend the TNT Championship against Brian Cage. So that should be an interesting matchup. That the big size difference should be pretty cool to see. And I could see Brian Cage kind of having a screw job finish and winning that title. I could see that happening. We could actually see Sting get physical in that matchup as well. But this is takeaway number one, because what are they doing with Sting? I mean, they keep teasing us like whether he's going to do the 6-man tag. I thought they were going to announce the 6-man tag right here and right now, but they didn't.
No.
So I'm not really sure what they're waiting for. I think the setup is gonna be at New Year's Bash during the matchup. Here comes Sting, attacks, Team Taz and helps out Darby Allin. Most likely Cody Rhodes shows up as well afterwards, and that probably sets up the matchup for night 2 of New Year's Bash, because it will be a 2-week event. The first Wednesday of 2021 being part day 1, and then the following Wednesday being day 2. So maybe they do day 1, the TNT Championship match, and then the week after, boom, there's the 6-man tag.
This is definitely just, I think, what AEW is trying to do is bring back the 97 Sting mystery man of what is Sting doing, why is Sting here, up in the sky, and it was like a whole thing for a year of him versus the NWO. I feel like they want to have that type of nostalgic feel where, why is he here, why did he show up, what's he doing, and to Tony's asking the questions like, why do you keep staring up there to Darby Allin, and what's going on with everything, and like he really couldn't answer and still couldn't answer, and they got interrupted. So I just think we're playing the secret Sting card. That's what they're going for. I like it. I dig it. I'm sure, like you said, it's going to lead to a 6-man tag. Are we going to see him do some physicality next week? Maybe he might come in there and lay out the entire ring, clear house like he did back in the day. But it's just good to see Sting. It definitely throws nostalgic feels. It's always good to have different things on the show. If you have some new guys, like the way that the show started, and then you have legends coming in, and you just have all this type of, just throwing a bunch of things in a salad and making it as good as you can. And I'm digging it. And Sting is Sting. And again, I like that they're throwing Darby in, because Darby can be like a new type of Sting, something, kind of be the next in line maybe. I don't know. I'm definitely pushing something out there, but it'd be interesting to see. And Cody didn't show up, so that was interesting that Cody wasn't there. So I definitely think that Cody will show up next week. And like you said, there's going to be a bash of 6-man tag. Has to be. Makes the most sense.
It has to be. It makes the most sense for him to do it. But guys, that's takeaway number 1. Sting continues to make his way through AEW, and we're wondering to see where it ends up. Next thing on the show, we have Jurassic Express going against the Dark Order. Jurassic Express get the win here, but then they get interrupted on the Tron by the FTR. So they challenge them to a matchup against
January 6th.
The New Year's Bash show. It will be Jurassic Express taking on FTR. FTR still making their way back up the rankings to get another title shot. Next thing on the show, Pac versus the Butcher. Pac gets the win here. Eddie Kingston on commentary. Lance Archer comes out and pretty much stares them all down the entire matchup. Pac gets the win, and then he will face down Pac in the ring. Archer would. So we'll see what happens. I remember there's an odd number of uneven number of guys in this rivalry, but there seems to be issues between Archer and Pac and Archer and Kingston. So we'll see what happens with that going forward. Most likely a New Year's Bash, probably night 2 battle setting up there. Next thing on the show, Kip Sabian, Penelope Ford, and Miro announced the wedding dates. The segment was kind of whatever's. So they're talking about they're going to announce the wedding date, but they get interrupted by the best friends. But it's a trick from Miro and Sabian, because they beat up Trent, and Trent is being put into an ambulance with the best friends, leaving with him in the ambulance. So they announced their date. It's February 3rd at what AEW is calling Beach Break. It's going to be a special AEW Dynamite. So that's when the wedding will take place. So AEW's first ever TV wedding. We've seen WWE do this a ton of times. They never turn out good. There's always physicality or some weird, funny little thing that happens in these weddings. So we'll see AEW's take on this. Should be pretty interesting. Next thing on the show, we had Hikaru Shida versus Alex Gracia. A little tune-up match for Shida. She gets attacked in the interview before the match by Abaddon, which I thought was one of the worst pull-aparts I've ever seen. It was pretty bad. It was sloppy, and it didn't come off good. During the match, Abaddon would get involved as well. Shida would end up defeating Gracia, and then Abaddon will bite her, and then she would start bleeding. Remember when Shayna Baszler did that to Becky Lynch? This didn't come off as great because nobody sold it the way it was sold on WWE television. So it kind of was what it was. I thought it kind of fell flat. And
it definitely did. It definitely did. It was like the girl just bit someone, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, they bit someone!" Exactly. Like she's like, like come on, you saw that? Come on, everybody does. Announcers, they all did a bad job on that. They didn't like it.
Yeah. So I mean, she poses a threat, but not really. I mean, because he kind of came out of nowhere. We only see Abaddon on Dark, if you watch Dark, because you haven't seen her much on Dynamite so recently, so we'll see what comes of it. They will have their AEW Women's Championship matchup at New Year's Bash as well, so we'll see what happens with that. Next thing,
a bigger belt. Get a bigger belt.
We also had Jade Cargill in the back talking about how it's just how convenient for Brandy to get pregnant in the middle of their feud, so that feud will be put on the back burner until probably for a while. Yeah,
at least for a year.
Yeah, at least for a year. So we'll see what happens. See if Shaq comes back. We'll see. There's a lot going on there. Next thing on the show, we had AEW World Tag Team Championship match, the Young Bucks versus the Acclaim. This was the main event of the show. Fun, solid match. One of them big high spot tag team wrestling matches. The Young Bucks stay on top. Obviously, the Acclaimed. I'm not sure how they got this fast up to the rankings that they were able to get this title shot. But it is what it is. AEW likes putting those young teams, young players out there, and giving them big shots. But the Young Bucks still win, so we'll see who the Young Bucks feud with next. If they still with the Acclaimed or somebody else, because the Acclaimed keeps talking all that trash in rap music videos and rapping against the Young Bucks. So that was the show. Yeah.
Decent little match, decent ending. Again, everybody just wants to see the rematch, Revival versus the Bucks. That's where everybody's going to. So when it will happen, nobody knows. We're guessing maybe May, but for now, we're gonna build the tag team division. So at least they're doing that, unlike some company up north. Yeah,
that is true. Another announcement is that day 2 of the New Year's Bash, it will be Cody Rhodes versus Matt Sydal in a matchup. So that could throw a wrench into the 6-man tag that we're talking about, but he could do double duty that night, or they could save the 6-man tag for a pay-per-view. I think they might go with that, just because they want to probably have Sting's first match in AEW on a pay-per-view. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. Yeah.
And they might milk it like they did in WCW when Sting came back. They waited a whole year for him to do anything, so they could wait 6 months. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, it all depends on the pay-per-view schedule. Yeah.
This is why we tune in to find out.
Exactly. But guys, that's AEW Dynamite. That's the one takeaway we have from the show. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment on the video and all that good stuff. And without further ado, if it doesn't work, your brother, do not do the job.
Later, Marks.